Hi guys, welcome to Murder in the Midwest. I'm Brooke, and this is the first episode in my series called The Devil's Playground. So my next few episodes are going to focus specifically on missing persons and unsolved murders in the Centralia, Illinois area. So why am I focusing on Centralia, Illinois? What piqued my interest is that Centralia is not a big community. It has a population of around 12,000. It's a very rural area, very wooded. So, for a population that small, to have so many missing persons and unsolved murders, to me seems a little odd. And then when I dug a little bit further and started reading that, the locals think that there's actually satanic cult activity and it's been going on since the 80s, of course, that really, gauged my interest there. And I started researching further. So today's episode in the series is going to focus on Joshua Mahaffey. So Joshua Mahaffey was 15 years old when he disappeared from his home in Centralia, Illinois, back on October 12, 1991. Josh was a typical 15-year-old kid. Maybe had started hanging out with not such a good group a few months before he disappeared, and something had actually happened a month before he disappeared, which authorities think probably was the catalyst for his disappearance. So Josh was hanging out with his friend Terry Martin, and they spent a lot of time at a local shopping center in Centralia, but they also hung out a lot at a place called the Devil's Playground, which is on Joliffe Bridge Road. It's on the outskirts of Centralia, and apparently a lot of teenagers hung out there riding all-terrain vehicles, I'm sure drinking, partying, doing that sort of thing. So in September of 1991, Terry and Josh were hanging out at the local shopping center, and they robbed one of the grocery stores there. So really not that big of a deal. They took some chips and they took some soda, but the owner was mad, pressed charges, they were caught, and Josh actually cooperated with authorities against Terry. So this is where we think things probably went a little astray. So Josh and Terry had this falling out because he cooperated with authorities, which meant Terry was going to get some jail time because of this. So the night of October 12th, 1991, I've actually heard conflicting stories as to what exactly happened that night. Either way, Josh disappeared, but some stories say that he got into a fight with his mother and he snuck out of his bedroom window in his home in Centralia. Another story that I saw said that actually he and his mom were babysitting kids that were friends of his mom's, and they were at her house. He and his mom had this argument, and he actually stormed out the front door. Either way, we know he got into an argument with his mother, and we know that he left, and that's the last time that she ever saw or heard from Josh. Now, he definitely wasn't planning on running away. He only had the clothes on his back. He didn't have any money with him. But here's what's odd. His mom actually didn't report him missing until November 12th. So a full month after the last time that she saw him. Now, she told authorities the reason that she didn't report him missing sooner is because it wasn't unusual for him to disappear for a few days at a time. So she thought maybe that was the case, and because they had an argument, he was extra mad at her. But finally, when she realized a month later, when she hadn't seen or heard from him, something was wrong. So she reports him missing to authorities, like I said, November 12th, 1991. Here's where authorities are already at a disadvantage, because if something did happen to Josh, they're now 30 days behind. I'm sure you've all heard of the show The First 48. So they talk about how crucial those first 48 hours are when a crime is committed. So now if somebody did harm Josh when he left home, they've had plenty of time to dispose of his body, dispose of any evidence. So authorities are just playing catch up at this point. So he's reported missing. Of course, there's searches for Josh. Missing posters go up all over Centralia. Nobody ever sees or hears from Josh ever again. In fact, to this day, he's never been seen or heard from. Technically, we can't say that he is, been murdered or a victim of a homicide because his body has never been found. So authorities are puzzled. They have nothing to go on. Now, at the time that he disappeared after he was reported missing, a friend of his and Terry's, her name is Tanya Collins, she told authorities that the night that Josh got into the argument with his mom and went out of the house, she saw him at this local shopping center, and Josh had gotten into a blue Ford Maverick truck that had Terry Martin, Terry's girlfriend at the time, and another boy who has never been identified. She said Josh got into the truck with them, went off. She saw the blue Ford Maverick truck later that evening. It was covered in mud, and everybody else was still in the truck except for Josh. So that's what Tanya had told authorities when he was officially reported missing. A few years later, she contacts authorities and says, actually, there is more to the story. I saw Josh being tortured and murdered in a satanic-like ritual out at the Devil's Playground. What? So this is obviously new information. I think that this happened in 1996. So she came forward with this information. The case is reopened. Of course, investigators, go out to the Devil's Playground. They ask her to take a polygraph, which she passes. And for some reason, a wealthy couple in Centralia decides to get involved in this story, and they actually pay a hypnotist to hypnotize Tanya, and so she can try to remember where exactly in the Devil's Playground this all took place. They go out and search for Josh. They actually use equipment that can look into the ground and kind of x-ray the ground to see if there's any bodies there. But they can find no evidence of a body, and they can't find any evidence of, I think they actually dug up where she thought he was perhaps buried. There was no body there. So once again, we've come to a dead end. Now, you might be asking, okay, if he was with Terry Martin, then what happened to Terry Martin? Well, Terry Martin was in prison. So shortly after Josh went missing, Terry actually beat a man with a baseball bat so severely that this man almost died. So there's jail number one. He gets out from that. In 1999, Terry Martin is sentenced to prison for the rape of a 6-year-old girl. Vile, disgusting, right? So he goes to prison. He was paroled in 2010, but failed to register as a sex offender, so he went right back into prison. And he was actually just released in October of 2019. So Terry Martin is a free man right now, and I don't know the location of where he's at. So he could be in Centralia area, he could have moved on, I don't know, but this person is walking around free. To further implicate Terry Martin, an inmate that was in jail with Terry at the same time actually wrote a letter to one of the detectives on this case and said, I heard Terry admit to killing a teenager named Josh back in 1991. So of course, authorities talked to this inmate. I think they even tried to do like a wiretap situation, and they tried to get, they put a wiretap on this inmate. They tried to get Terry to admit to it again, but nothing ever came of that. And in fact, Terry Martin has said, I had nothing to do with Josh's death. I have no idea what happened. He actually said, he always talked about running away to Kentucky to go live with his father. So maybe he did that. I've also read that there might have been a little teenage love triangle between Josh, Terry's girlfriend, and Terry Martin, of which Terry Martin says that's not true. Josh wasn't seeing my girlfriend. So draw your own conclusions there. One thing I do find odd is, and these are the questions I have about this case that I haven't been able to quite find any answers to, is number one, why didn't Tanya Collins come forward with this information about the supposed torture and murder back when Joshua was originally reported missing? Now I have to put myself in her shoes. She was a teenager as well. So if she did witness the torture and murder of Josh, I'm guessing she was scared, and maybe she felt that, after a few years, because Terry Martin was then in prison at that point, maybe she felt like, okay, I'm gonna come forward and see what I say, I can't get hurt, he's in prison. That's what I'm just imagining, maybe she had a guilty conscience. I'd like to believe she's not making this up. I don't know what she would have to gain by making up a story of seeing somebody tortured and murdered. The satanic cult twist to it does make it seem a little unbelievable. I believe that perhaps she did see Terry Martin and his friends do something to Josh, but I think a lot of people are like, okay, a satanic cult. When you throw that twist in there, that makes it seem a little crazy. But I don't know, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. I'm also wondering too, if she witnessed this torture and murder, does that mean that she was with them? Like, how did she witness this torture and murder out at the Devil's Playground? Was she already out there and she happened to stumble upon this and then just told authorities, oh, I saw Josh with these guys, hoping that authorities would be able to make that a connection on their own? And then when they didn't, she came forward with this other information. I have a hard time believing that she would have been with this group. They would have killed Josh in front of her and then just been like, okay, you're good to go. You won't tell anybody, right? like, that seems a little unbelievable to me. So I don't know the circumstances of how she actually witnessed and saw this murder. So I have a lot of questions around that. But either way, this is what we know. Josh's body has never been discovered. So he is, technically still considered a missing person. They've even done, that technology where they can age somebody to show what they look like now. So perhaps he is still out there. Maybe he really did run away, and maybe, he's living his best life. I don't think that's what happened. I do fully believe that he was probably killed the night of October 12th or within the next couple of days. I do believe that Terry Martin had something to do with his murder. I think where there's smoke, there's fire. And if you're a violent enough person that you, one, almost beat a man to death with a baseball bat, and then you sexually assault a 6-year-old girl, you're not a good person. So I absolutely believe that he could have done something to Josh. And I absolutely believe that he could have been mad about Josh cooperating with authorities over this robbery that they committed. And if there was anything, you know how teenagers are, hormones are going crazy. So if he thought that Josh was seeing his girlfriend, that could have led, fuel to the fire as well. What's really sad is I've seen reports and videos of what happened to Josh's mother. Her name is Tanya. She reportedly still lives in the Centralia, Illinois area, but is not well. I think physically and mentally, Josh's disappearance took a big toll on her. I'm sure she must feel some sort of guilt at the fact that she didn't report him missing for a month, and investigators could have lost valuable time, investigating this because it had been so long before she reported him missing. So there's probably critical evidence that they perhaps could have collected if he would have been reported missing in a timely manner. But I do believe she lives in Centralia to this day. I am going to link to, one thing that piqued my interest in the case is the Missing Persons Network. They have done a lot of Facebook Lives that they posted on their website from the Centralia area, and they have said that they're working on a documentary about the Devil's Playground and about all the people that have either gone missing or have later turned up murdered and it's unsolved in the Centralia area. So they have a big interest in this as well. So I will link their website below. It sounds like they are actively working on this documentary, and it should hopefully be out soon. So I'm really interested to see what they discover about the case. So guys, what do you think about this case? Do you think it's a satanic cult? Comment cult below if you think that that's what happened, or if you're from the Centralia, Illinois area and you know about this case or about other cases in the area, would love to have you comment. I'll put up my email here below, and it is in the description as well, but murderinthemidwest@gmail.com. If you've got any insider information you don't want to leave a public comment, please feel free to, leave me, shoot me an email and let me know what you think or any inside information that you may have about this case. And as always, guys, don't forget, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and then hit the bell. You will get notified every week of when my videos go up. I do post on Wednesday, so every single Wednesday you will get a new video about murders in the Midwest. See you next time, guys.